Hallelujah. Barakatah Yahweh, Malakamulam. Is blessed are you, Yahweh, King, everlasting King of this universe. We come to you now, Abba Yah, on your set-apart day, your Shabbat day, giving you all praise, honor, and esteem, and just seeking your face, Abba Yah, seeking shalom, Abba Yah. We can put aside all cares and all stresses on this one day, Abba Yah, that you told us to just rest, and reverence you, Abba Yah. So we're coming here, Abba Yah, humbled as your servants, obedient children, to just enjoy your Shabbat. And we thank you, Abba Yah, for all the blessings, for bringing us through the week, for blessing us with everything we could possibly need. We thank you for your protection, Abba Yah. We thank you for your guidance. And we thank you, Abba Yah, always for your Ruach HaKodesh that is always reminding us who we are and whose we are and the purpose you set us apart. Toda Rabba Abba for the praise reports and the testimonies that just testify to your greatness, Abba Yah, which feeds our faith that your words will never return to you void. Your promises are kept. Your promises of blessings and salvation, also your promises of chastisement when we fall short, Abba Yah. So we just ask, please, Abba Yah, when we do fall short, miss the mark, and understand our trespass and our transgressions, that we repent, Abba Yah, and you be merciful when you judge us and chastise us. We serve you and you alone, Abba Yah. There's none beside you, there's none above you. You are El Shaddai, El Elyon. And Abba Yah just asked that those that are vexed, those that are stressed, whatever that stress, Abba Yah, whatever that foul ruach is that is on them, Abba Yah, that you give them shalom, that you rebuke those bad ruachs, Abba Yah. For my sister Marsha, Akoti Marsha, Abba Yah, who is suffering from a major pain, Abba Yah, in her body. I just ask, Abba Yah, that you touch and heal her body, bring her back to good health, give her comfort. And as we go into your cultural study and your language study today, Abba Yah, I just ask that your Ruach HaKodesh be with us, that you guide us in truth, that we may gain understanding, we may gain knowledge and wisdom about who we are, whose we are, Abba Yah, and how to walk in all your ways from a cultural standpoint. Hear the words of our ancestors and all the lessons and all the edification today, Abba Yah, just allow your Ruach to come through, that your messages be received, and those that are edifying your word, deliver it, Abba Yah, the way you want it delivered, that it hits its mark. And in all things, Abba Yah, Tob and Ra, we say Toda Rabba Abba. Thank you so much, Father. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed is your name, Yahweh. And blessed is he that comes in your name, Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen. All right, Mishpachah, we're back at it again, the cultural and language. So last Shabbat was pretty rushed, I think. A couple of things didn't work out the way I had planned, and then we kind of rushed through to meet our time slot. I think I tried to cover too much material at one time. So from here on out, what I plan to do is just one topic each Shabbat lesson, one topic. And then we'll go into always the reading practice. And so from here on out, that'll be the new curriculum. We will do one topic at a time. And I know I said we would do the quiz on this Shabbat, but in keeping with this new format, we will do all quizzes on one Shabbat. So we'll go over the lesson. Then the next Shabbat, we will review the lesson. And then the next Shabbat, most high willing, we'll have a quiz. And then the next Shabbat, we'll move on to a new topic. So today we're just going to go back over the vowels, and it's going to be in two segments. One part is going to be for pretty much the beginners in the vowels. And then the second part is going to be a little bit more intermediate for those that already know the vowels, but a couple of more vowel rules that we haven't gone over yet. So let's get started. Now, last Shabbat, well, the last Shabbat we met on Zoom, Akoti Moria she did a Gadol Tov job with presenting the cultural hey, that letter hey from a cultural aspect. So this week, this Shabbat, my Bat Zion has volunteered to do the next letter in line, which is the Wa or the Vav. She's going to go into the cultural Wa and Vav. So give me a second. Let me share screen. I can get this pulled up. Can y'all see this?
Okay.
All right. So Bat Zion, the floor is yours. She's going to go into this letter right here, the Wa, or in modern Hebrew, the Vav. Floor is yours.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and esteem to the Most High Yah. And I also like to acknowledge my Ish as my covering. Okay, so this Wav or Vav represents, the picture is of a peg tent or a hook. And historically, it's meant for the hook in the tabernacle. It's meant to add, secure. The word is to add, to secure, or to hook. And it's talking about like a connection or a relationship. When it's at the beginning of a word, it means it's a connector word. So and, so, but, mostly and it has the numerical representation of 6 is a 6 letter, and 6 represents the works of man, man and beast, idol, Adam, relationship, judgment, but it's also incomplete. It represents incompletion. That's all I have.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Tov job. And you see how that cultural, our ancestors saw that as a tent peg, but what it represented too is like joining two pieces of fabric together. It's also spiritually joining us together, keeping us together. So Gadol Tov job, Bat Zion. We'll move on. Anybody want to volunteer for the next letter? The next letter is going to be the Zion. Zion. Can I get a volunteer to do a little bit of research on the Zion? I can't see hands, so if anybody's got their hands up, somebody's gonna have to let me know.
Somebody got their hand up or down.
Okay. All right then. So
I know. Hey, Uziel got his hand up now.
Uziel? Okay, all right. Toda Adon. So next week, most high willing, Aki Uziel will give us the Zion, cultural research of the Zion. Toda Rabah. Okay. So now let's get back into the vowels. And for the beginners, what I want you to get from this, pay attention to what the vowels look like and how it dictates the basic sound of the consonant. All right. So everybody has this chart by now, I hope. That's that handy Hebrew alphabet. This is your block print. This is, book print. This is what it's going to look like for the most part in books, in literature, in like typewritten font. This is what it's going to look like, this book print, right? And then the block print is like hand print. This is what it's going to look like when somebody is just freehanding it. This is called block print. And so a lot of times when you see these quizzes, I will be making these letters in this print right here, this block print. So start to get used to that too. It doesn't change anything. It's just the way it looks. It's still an aleph. It makes that aleph sound silent, or it's a bot, a bet, and it makes that bet sound. And on this fourth line right here where it says script, that's what it's going to look like as if we were writing in cursive. All right. Next week, most high willing, I'll show you some examples of the block print and the cursive print. But what I want to concentrate on today for the beginners is this vowel, these vowels right here. And what you're going to take away from these vowels is the sound that it makes, the basic sound that it makes, right? And they're just using this X right here as a placeholder for a consonant. So this could be any consonant, and the vowel name is patat. And that's what it spells right there. I'm gonna blow this up just a little bit. Can y'all see that?
Go back one more time for him, Zaqan.
Say again, Maury?
Can you go one more time for him?
All right. How about that?
It's told.
Con. So now, like I said, this X right here is a consonant. It represents any consonant. The vowel is under it. The vowel is under it. All right. And so before we go any further, I just want to show you that the way we read Hebrew, everybody knows the way we read Hebrew is from right to left. And so it's going to look like this: consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. That's the way we read in Hebrew. Now, what you're going to see in print, come on, my computer has been kind of acting up all morning. So what you're going to see in print, what it's going to look like is, come on. All right, so what it's going to look like is you're going to have your consonant, that's any consonant, and then you're going to have your vowel under it. And we're going right to left. So it's consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. That's the way we read Hebrew. Consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. And then sometimes you might just have like consonant, consonant. And then sometimes it'll just be the consonants with no vowels, and we'll get into that. But what I need you to understand and draw from today is that we read from right to left. We read from right to left, and it's consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. All right. So this first vowel, the straight line under the consonant is called patak. 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 And it makes the basic ah sound, as in father. It makes the basic ah sound, as in father. The next letter is the qamats or kamats. Qamats or kamats. It looks like a small T, but most of the time in book print, it's going to look like a line with a small ball attached to it. This is more or less like the hand printed block script. All right. So it's called the patak, the kamats. And it makes the ah sound too, basically. It makes the ah sound as in father or yacht, basically. Just remember that for the beginners. The next letter is the hirik. Hirik. It's just one single dot under the consonant, and basically it makes the E sound as in B. Just remember that. It's the basic E sound as in B. The next letter is the sere. Sere. We say tisri, but it's sere. And it's two dots side by side under the consonant. Two dots side by side under the consonant. And it makes the basic A sound as in they, T-H-E-Y. It makes the basic A sound as in they. All right, the next letter down is the sagol, sagol. And it's the three dots, kind of like in a triangle formation. And the way I remember, if y'all remember from last lesson we had, it looks like the three holes on a bowling ball, right? And so it makes the S sound as in like better, better, as in better or bed. These next two is we'll go from right to left, is a holum. A holum, that's one dot offset to the left at the top of the consonant. And it makes the basic O sound, as in row or in toe. The next is a holum male or a holum wa. Male just means full, all right, or like strength. And so that's the holum male, but we often refer to it as the holum wa because of that wa right there. That letter right there, well, it's no longer the letter, it's a holum male or holum wa, all right? And it also makes the basic O sound. Next letter is the kibbutz, kibbutz, kibbutz. And it's the three dots slanted, three dots in a row on the diagonal under the consonant, under the consonant. And it's the long O sound like ooh, as in pool, as in pool. The next letter is the shiruk, I know they got sharek right there, but the shiruk. And it makes the basic long O sound too, as in pool. You see, it's the wa with the dagesh. That dot right there is a dagesh, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But that symbol right there, that vowel right there is the shiruk. Not the consonant and the vowel, so to speak, but when a consonant, when it follows that consonant is going to take on that oo sound. So if this was a bet, it would be boo, boo. All right. Then we got the kataf kamatz. And really what that means, they say it shortens the vowel, but really what it does is it kind of rushes the vowel, right? So they got it as row, not row, but row, right? So it makes kind of like the O sound, and we'll get into that. Don't worry too much about the kataf kamatz. And then the last for the beginners is the shiwa. There are two types of shiwas. You have the silent shiwa and the vocal shiwa. But for the beginners, all I want you to know is it's kind of hushed. So instead of so like this would be if that was an aleph, normally, but with the shiwa under it, it would be more like a not the long but All right. We'll go through them one more time. We got patak, the straight line. The kamatz looks like a small T, but when you see it in book print, a lot of times you'll see that line across the top and it looks like a ball attached to it under. This is the block print. All right. Small T, kamatz. Then you have the chirik, which is the one dot under. We have the sere or tisri, which is the two dots side by side under the consonant. You have the sego, which is the three dots in a triangle pattern. kind of like the holes on a bowling ball. Then you have the holums, just plain holum, makes the O sound basically. And then you have the holum wa, all right? Next is the kibbutz. That's the 3 dots on the diagonal under the consonant. And then we have the shruk. That's a dagesh in next left in the wa or the vowel. And like I said, this is kind of like not for beginners, but really what it does is it rushes the sound of that vowel, and it's called the kataf kamat. And then finally the shiva or the shiva. All right, and really what that does is it kind of muffles the vowel, and it's almost always a eh, eh. All right. Any questions before we move on? One more thing I'll say about these the basic vowels here is it's they kind of got them categorized as A vowels, E, I, O, and U. All right. So if you can remember it that way, the basics is the A, the E, the I, the O, and the U. All right. Any questions? Now, one thing I'll say about the beginners, you're gonna have to know your alphabets, because you need to know what the bet is a B sound. So with that patak under it, it's going to be like a ba. If it was a noon, it would be the na. So make sure you're studying your alphabet also. This is the introductory to the basic vowels. All right. Any questions? We're about to move on. All right. So for the beginners, if you haven't, go ahead.
Uziel got his hand up.
All right, go ahead, Adon. If you're speaking, Aki, I can't hear you. I hope it's not my computer. Can y'all hear me?
Kane, that's he got his mic on mute, but I don't think something going on with his volume.
Okay. Well, somebody monitor the chat. Sometimes he'll put it in the chat if his sound is off, and we'll move on and I'll get back to it. All right, so that's basic vowels. Basic vowels. Learn those sounds of the basic vowels. Don't worry too much about the name. That'll come later. Just worry about what it looks like and what it sounds like. All right, and just remember, it affects the sound of the consonant. So for instance, if this was a mem, it would be ma. If it was a mem here, it would be more like a me. If it was a mem here, it would be more like a may. All right, moving on. Okay, so now this is for more of the beyond beginner, approaching intermediate. All right, and one thing I want to say about this is Deuteronomy 6:5, right? So our ancestors would already know the vowel sounds without that vowel markings, and eventually we will too. It's like when we're learning the word like cat, right? But then when we see that word, when we learn that word, when we put it in our vocabulary, we automatically know it's cat, not Kate. You understand what I'm saying? So we automatically know that. So our ancestors, you know, they may have been, when they were being taught, they didn't have these vowel points. These vowel points is just so that, like I said, beginning in the Masoretes, so that when they spoke, when they read the scrolls, they would all be reading it with the same phonetic, with the same sound. All right. But then after a while, you get done, you get practice in reading and vocabulary. You don't need these nakuds, and that's where we're going to try and get to. As a matter of fact, there's a whole lot of literature, Hebrew literature, that has no vowel points under it. Has no vowel points under it. And that's what we kind of want to get to, but that comes with learning the vocabulary. All right. And then some basic rules, and then we won't have to worry about these nakuds, these vowel points. All right. So what I need the intermediates, the beyond beginners to pay attention to is that we have what we call long vowels, right? And so the kamats, that long kamats, that little T under it, if you look closely, let me see if I can blow that up a little bit more. If you look closely, get out of the way here. You see what I was saying, how it looks like a little ball in the book print? You see, can y'all see that, where it's got the straight line as in the patak, but it looks like it has a little ball attached to it. That's in book print. What we saw in the handy Hebrew chart was more of block print, like hand printed. All right, just pay attention to that. And so we got, these are called the long vowels. The long vowels. This is for the beyond beginner. The kamats, and we pretty much know this. We just taught it in a different way. We didn't really go into long vowels and short vowels and reduced vowels. But now you need to know that these are the long vowels, the kamat, the kamats, the sere, the cholam. Those are considered long vowels. We already know them. We already know them. I just wanted to bring that out so we can move forward. You're going to need to know that. All right. We just taught it in a different way. Moving on. These are the short vowels. These are what they call the short vowels. It's more of a, instead of Pesach, it would be Pesach. You understand? That's the shortened version. All right. And you see it, the Patak, the Sagol, the Hirik, Chamatz Hataf, Kibbutz. All right. A-E-I-O-U. And I'll touch on that a little bit later as I close. Moving on. These are the reduced. And that's when we get the Hataf or the Hatef. All right. And that's what I was talking about, where they call it reduced, but really it's more hushed. I mean, rushed. It's a more rushed vowel. All right. Everybody track it. So in here, instead of saying they got amused, so we wouldn't say amuse, we would say amuse. Right? And so down here, the Hataf Sagol, they got amuse again, but it would be more like the E in metal. All right. Then we got the Hataf Kamats. You see that it looks like a tissary and the vowel. I mean a shiwa and the vowel. A shiwa and the vowel, but they call it Hataf. Hataf Kamats. Hataf Sagol. Hataf Patak. And they say it's the reduced, but it's really more rushed if you think about it that way. I'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit later. This is just a summary of those, the A, E, I, O, and U's, the long vowels, the short vowels, reduced. And I'm not going to spend that much time here because we already know it. This is just a summary of what we just went to, the Hataf or the Hatef. All right. They say reduced, but if you think about it as rushed, and I'll give you another example when I get to the main point. We already went through this. We didn't just call it the Kataf Hay, but we already went through it. All right, and basically what it is the hey is used as a vowel letter only at the end of a word. When you see this configuration, it's only going to show up at the end of a word, which is going to be important when we get into syllabizing and that silent and that vocal Shiva. All right. But we already know this. It really doesn't change the sound, but it affects the vowels that follow it, if that makes sense. All right. And these only show up at the end of a word, sort of like Torah. You will have the resh and the hey, Torah. All right. Matter of fact, that's the note. Vowel letters written with the H are used only at the end of a word, as in Torah, law. And as Yibne, Yibne. I know you can look at it and say this is Yibne. We'll get into that. This is more for the beyond beginner. It's a little bit more intermediate. All right. This is where you already know this, the Cholim and the Sharuk, right? You already know this. They're just calling it letters with the Wa. One thing to take note, though, it is an unchangeable long vowel. It's always going to be a long vowel. When you see it in this configuration, it's always going to be a long vowel. All right. This is where the main focus is for today for you beyond beginners. This is the main focus today because we didn't go over this, we didn't explain it. And so what I want you to remember is that these are also unchangeable long vowels. These are also unchangeable long vowels, right? And so what I like to say is this is how you get your pure letter, like a pure I or a pure E or a pure A, right? But they call it like patak yod. And this is not even a patak. So this is a typo, but this is a kamatz yod. Kamatz yod, all right? And I apologize. This is the only electronic form I had that had them in this chart all together. The other books that I have that are electronic, all these rules are kind of spread out throughout the chapter. And so this one is the only one where I have all these rules in one spot, so I can go over them at one time. But this would be a chamatz yod, not the top yod. All right. This is correct, tisri yod. And this is how we get the E. This is how we get the E. And this will be more of a ah, as in bat. But this is how we get the true like sort of A. You know, they got it as they, or we would see it sometimes as like we would say it sort of like say. But this is how we get the what I call a pure A. And then we got the sagol yod. And that's a E as in better. They got eh. That's how we get that pure eh. And they call this the hirit yod as an I, but it's the I as in like machine, like a double E, machine, but it's an I. That's how they get that een. You know how we say in the basic, we see the dot under it, we automatically say E. But to get the pure E, it's the hirit yod, and it is pronounced E as in machine. Now there's one more. I'm gonna have to draw it. And so we got. I'll continue to use the bet, and this is handwritten bet. And then you have the patak under it, that straight line under it, and the yod, and you get the this is how we get the pure I, right? So that would be patak yod, and it will have the pure I sound, as in idea, or even fight. So you get the patak yod is how we get that pure I. We see here with the hirik and the yod, we get, they calling it an I, but it sounds like E, as in machine. That's how you get the pure, I call it the pure E. Basically, when we talk in the basic, just for the beginners, you're always safe when you say E, when you see just a dot. But in some instances, when you start to get into reading, this is not always going to be E. But if it's the hirik with the yod, it's always going to be E. The same thing here. The patak is not always going to be the ah, but with the patak and the yod, it's always going to be I. And the way they get it, the way they explain it is you got to say it fluent, like I. All right, I hope that makes sense. That gives us what I call a pure I, as in idea. I'm sorry about that, but that spells idea, or as like in fight. And like I said, it's an unchangeable long vowel. Anytime you see that vowel yod combination, it's always going to be unchangeable long vowel. And a lot of times when it's unchangeable, I mean the long, it just means that it's really saying its name. All right. Any questions before I move on? Any questions at all?
Is Zaqan, Uzel had a question earlier
Yes.
in the chat.
Can you read it for me?
Canadon. He said, like in the English.
I can pull it. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I can pull it. I didn't know I could pull it. Go ahead.
Okay, he said, like in the English, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U, but there are 26 letters in the Hebrew. Does the Nakul replace those vowels that were in the English, would give us 22 consonants? And I thought there wasn't an I in Hebrew. So that was his question.
All right. Tob question. Let me see if I can understand. The 22 consonants are not vowels. They're not associated. I don't want to say associated, but the consonants and the vowels are different. And there's more than A, E, I, O, and U, and I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. And in sometimes what we call Hebrew, some people say there are no E's and U's and all of that, but there is an I in modern. And I'll show you some examples. I didn't pull any examples to show you, but I'll show you some examples where when you see this combination right here, it's pronounced as I. All right. I hope that answered the question. The 22 consonants are not the vowels. The vowels are added to those 22 consonants. And they say A, E, I, O, and U, but there's more than that in the sound. And I'm gonna cover that sound here before I close. I hope that answered the question.
As I can, the house of Yosef had their hands up, but I think they put it down, but I don't know if they still had a question or not.
All right, well, the floor is open if they had a question.
Shalom. No, I just wanted to know, are you able to send this out here? Because now when you're going over this, now my mind is just working overtime with these different sounds now, as opposed to what I was reading in at first. So are you able to send this out and through like email or through the chat?
Yes, I can. It won't be this chart because this chart has a lot of typos in it. The only reason why I use this chart is because it's all of these combinations, these rules are in one spot. So I'll send out an email, but it's not going to be in one chart like this. And if you, how can I put it? If you're not that confident in the basic Nakud, this is for the more intermediate, the ones that really has a grasp on the basic Nakud. All right, but I will send out a list of what I covered today for the more intermediate, the more beyond basic. I'll send out an email. Actually, I'll probably just send it to Sarah Yohanan, because he knows how to put it into the Telegram.
Toda.
All right. Any questions before I move on? All right. So now I know this may be like a curveball to those, like Akoti just pointed out, but it is necessary when we get into syllabalizing and rules affecting like the Dagesh Lene and the Dagesh Forte, even the Shiwa, the silent and the vocal Shiwa. So we're gonna have to know it if we want to be proficient in reading and eventually comprehending the Hebrew word. All right, so you just gotta spend time and get to know it if we're gonna be proficient. So it has to be introduced, but like I said, we're gonna move from a beginner spot to a more beyond beginner, even into an intermediate, and then hopefully advanced, most high willing. So I know this kind of threw a curveball at some people, but it's necessary. And for the intermediate students, this is why you have to practice vocally. You have to say these consonants, these consonant vowel sounds out loud, and then you'll start to pick up on the subtle differences in those pronunciations, those enunciations. So instead of just saying, looking at it, the basic and saying, well, it's an E, that's good when we start out. That's good when we start out, but as you start to read, so you won't get confused. Once we start to get comprehending and all of that and parsing, we won't be confused when we see that this is not in one word, this is not E, but more of a eh. And then why this is sometimes not just plain E. So we have to learn that. So this is for a little bit more than just the basic beginner. This is a little bit beyond beginner. The beginners that are the more beyond beginners that are really understanding these Nakuds. Now it's time to move up a little bit more in pinpointing, narrowing in, so that these don't throw us for a loop when we start to syllabalize and when we start to get into the comprehension and the parsing of words and sentences and phrases. All right, I'm going to move on because we still got to get to the reading practice. All right. So you're asking, I know Adon Uziel asked about the AE, the IO, and the U. And this is the way I read it, because it's not just plain AE, IO, and U. That's basic. That's basic. All right. So what we got to start doing is being able to recognize those subtle differences in the enunciation for you more advanced readers right now. And please don't get discouraged if you're not at this level yet. That's why we're going through all levels. And eventually, by the time we get to actually parsing, everybody should be caught up, and we should be all starting that with the same knowledge of the alphabet and the vowels and the syllabalizing. All right. So don't get discouraged if you're not following this, if you're not in that sort of intermediate range. If you're still in the beginner, don't get discouraged. Just do that chart that I just showed you. Learn that chart, the alphabet and the vowels that are in that handy Hebrew chart. For the more beyond basic. This is for you. This is where you need to take your notes, and this is where you need to start adding this into your practice. I hope I'm getting clear. So for like the A vowels, it's not just A, E, I, O, and U. That's the basic. So you got A as in age. You got the A as in bat. There's a Ah as in father, and there's a Ah as in yawn. The same thing with the E's. You got the E, the pure E, like in B, and you also have the as in bed. All right. And then you got like your pure I just showed you that. The I. All right. And then for your O's, we all pretty much know those, but there's O as in holy, and then there's O as in boy. And then there's U. We already know the U's. There's U as in zoo, and there's also a as in book. As in book. All right. Now you beginners, learn the handy Hebrew chart. What I'm going over right now is for those that are pretty familiar with the basics, and now it's time for them to step up a little bit, all right? But keep practicing. That's why this is here for everybody, because once you got that practice down, you just move right in. And then by the time we get into parsing, we should all be on the same level as far as the basics, the alphabet and the vowels. All right, I'm gonna move a little bit faster. All right. Are there any questions? Any questions? Please don't get discouraged. I know this is kind of like the hard part. This is the crawl. You know, like babies trying to learn how to crawl. This is the crawl part. Just hang in there and keep practicing, and you'll see that it's not as hard as it looks from the beginning. Stay with us and keep practicing. If you don't put in the work, this is going to look like Chinese to you all the time, but you have to put in the work. You have to put in the practice. You have to write those words, say those, write those alphabets, say those alphabets, recognize those vowels and recognize the sounds that those vowels make. If you don't put into practice, it's always going to look like Chinese to you. You have to practice. You have to practice. You have to practice. Any questions? We're getting ready to go into the reading, and I'll close. All right, let me get rid of that. All right. Can y'all see that? Is that big enough for everybody, Steve?
Okay.
All right. So I want to give the readers that have been reading a while, I want them to go in first. And I know Adon Kanakya has been sitting patiently. So I want you to pay attention to this. Adon Kanakya, are you available?
Okay, I'm available.
All right. So do you want to take verse 1 and 2? And you beginners, listen to how he's going through these words with those vowels. Pay attention to how he's going through these words with the vowels. All right. So this is Bereshit, and you can say Bereshit Akkad, Bereshit Akkad, and then Pasuk Rishon. Pasuk is verse. All right. So it's Bereshit Akkad, Bereshit 1, and then first chapter. All right. If you don't mind, Adon Kanaka, you go through verse 1 and 2.
Bereshith, Bara, Elohim, 8, Hashemayim, Wa'it Haaretz, Wa'aretz, Hayata, Tohu, Wabohu, Wakashek, Al, Paneh, Tohu, Warurak, Elohim, Merakafeth, Al, Paneh, Hamayim.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And so this is where I want you to see you see the combination here, this combination, right? The Tishri Yod, you're getting that pure A, Al Paneh, Al Paneh, Al Paneh. All right. Tovjab, Toda, Toda. And then one more advanced reader, read verse 3. Read verse 3. Any volunteers more advanced? And then actually, I want a beginner to read this verse 3. One that really hasn't done it before, but you've been practicing. So just, we're gonna walk through it and then we'll probably close. I'm getting close to my time slot. It's a short one, and I just need, okay, I see that, House of Yosef. Sometimes it pops up and then sometimes I don't see anything. So House of Yosef, floor is yours. Verse
Okay.
3.
Wayomer, Elohim, Wahi, Waki, Waki,
What's that, Akoti?
the Yod.
Okay,
Oh.
try that again.
Yoki. Oh, okay. That's the, I'm sorry. Let me just blow
You're
it up.
doing
just
all
a
right.
little bit.
You're doing all right. You're doing all right.
Okay. Oh, that's that. Hey.
Work through it.
Yohi.
Not yo.
What am I saying? Yahi.
He.
Yahi.
Mhm.
Or Wa. Wayihi.
That's acceptable. Keep going.
Or.
Hallelujah. Toda, Toda, Toda. One thing I want to point out here, it's a why yeah. See that? It's got the gesh. Why you omer. Why you omer. Why you omer. All right.
Oh, okay. I see.
All right, but you did well. You did well with that. Why you omer, Elohim, Yehi, or why Yehi, or. Good job. Good job. All right. Any questions? And I'm gonna get to the close. Any questions? All right. You see how Adon Kanaka, when he went through verses 1 and 2, he read through it. He read through it, you know. And then as we go, as we grow to where we can crawl, to where we can stand up, to where we can walk, then all of this will start to come clear to y'all that are just beginning. So that's why I'm saying, hang in there, keep practicing, and it's going to get clearer. And as a matter of fact, it's going to start getting fun. It's going to start getting fun because now you've got to figure out what that word is. Like, what is the root of better sheep? You know, where is the prefix? Where is the suffix? Is it masculine? Is it feminine? Those are like puzzles you got to figure out. It becomes fun. All right, but you got to practice. You got to practice. You got to practice. You got to practice. All right, tob job. And a lot of times we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention to the yod with the hirik, because a lot of times we'll say that I can't even say it. So it's hashamim. It's not hashamaim, it's hashamayim. Yim. All right. Good job, everybody. Good job. Let me get to the close. No, if there's any questions, say it now. Voice your thought or your question now. If you don't get active and there's questions and we move on, you're going to fall further and further behind, and then it's going to become frustrating instead of fun. All right. So one more time, are there any questions? All right. So I know I said we'll have the quiz this Shabbat. That didn't go so well, and that was on my part last time we got together on Zoom. But like I said in the beginning, as in the opening of this lesson, I'm going to change that curriculum up because I think I was trying to push too much information in the time slot that I got. So this is the format going forward. This is the format going forward. We're going to introduce a topic such as the alphabet. Then the next Shabbat, we're going to review the alphabet. And we've already done that, so we won't be doing it. I'm just giving you an example. And then the following Shabbat, we'll have a quiz on the alphabet. And then every Shabbat, Most High willing, we're going to practice reading. And we're going to stay here in Bereshit because Bereshit is a good foundation. We're going to stay here in Bereshit. And hopefully by the time we get done with chapter 1, not only will we be reading more fluently, but we'll start picking up on vocabulary words and we'll start getting comprehension. We'll be able to look at the sentence and maybe not pick out every word that's in that sentence, but we can recognize enough words in that sentence to get the idea of what that sentence is talking about. All right, that's the goal by the time we get done with Bereshit chapter 1. When we've gone all the way through the parsing, we've gone all the way through the syllabalizing, we've gone all the way through the feminine, the masculine, the infinitive, the perfect and the imperfect. When we get through all of that, by the time we get done with Genesis chapter 1, we're going to be running. That's the goal. But we got to crawl, stand, walk, then run. And the crawling and the standing is going to be the hardest part. Just like a baby learning how to walk, that's going to be the hardest part, but we got to hang in there. We got to practice, 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 practice. All right. Okay, one more thing. The last thing, I know last time we were on here on Zoom, I said that I would be willing to open up another study session on another day. I don't know if I was clear about that, but I'm willing to open up another study session on my Zoom, either on like Rishon or Revi'i on Sunday or Wednesday for about an hour. And then we can get more in depth in our studies, right? But I need enough participation to where it's worth it to open up that second door. I got one hit in my email last Shabbat. So I'm gonna put it in Telegram once we're done with this service today. I'm gonna put it in Telegram. I'm gonna make that announcement again. And then if you're interested and dedicated, shoot me an email. And if I get enough participation, then I'll open up another study session on my Zoom, either on Rishon or Revi'i. All right. That's all I have for today. No homework, just practice, 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 practice. And you have to do it out loud. You can't just practice in your head. You need to hear what it sounds like. You need to feel what it sounds like, what it feels like in your mouth and your throat and your diaphragm. All right. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. I yield, Maury.
Hey, Maury, if you speaking, you still on mute.
Toda. Shabbat shalom, Mr. Makai. Zaqan, I have a suggestion to make to you too. I'll make it after we get off the service today about another time that you can actually use also. So I'll talk to you about that. Hallelujah. All right, Toda for everyone for tuning in. Just like you say, stay encouraged. It's not easy at first, but it does, as he said, get fun. After you get the basics down, it gets really fun. So, especially when you're doing it as a group. So, hallelujah. All right, we got now open the floor to Adon Kanakia for the 2-minute warning.